Welcome to the Ryan Holtz Show. On this show, you can expect the latest, the greatest, and the best curated content on business, marketing, automotive, and lifestyle. Sit back, put in your earplugs, and let's enjoy the ride. Now, as always, I want to make sure you get the best in content that will help you monster your goals, both personally and professionally. I want to keep this conversation going, so please check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at Ryan Holtz1. And then go over to facebook.com/Ryan Holtz Marketing, and we can chat there too. I also want you to visit www.ryanholtz.ca, as this will be where I put my almighty beloved show notes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am proud to bring you the Ryan Holtz Show. Let the beat drop and enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 10 of the Ryan Holtz Show. Thank you so much for all the downloads, the listeners, the love, the feedback. I'm super happy to have this next guest on. He's going to round out my double-digit episode, which is episode 10. His name is Cheng. Eric, I think I've seen through the grapevine, I don't know, years and years ago, and I mean, just kind of see him in random places, and and finally we got to connect, and I'm super happy about that. Eric Cheng is an entrepreneur and creative agency owner. His passion for the city of Edmonton and the community led him to co-found YEG People, an online magazine that features the stories and journeys of inspirational Edmontonians. Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. So, are you enjoying the cold weather?
Thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome, man. You're very welcome. Welcome.
Honored to be episode 10.
Episode 10, man. It's episode 10 of the Ryan Holtz Show. It's been well received. We've had some good reviews. Super happy to launch a podcast and try to be a little bit more consistent with it. But why I want you to be on the show is, I noticed a couple things about you. I mean, I'd have to say you're almost like a guy that's almost like a minimalist. You like the simplicity. Your Instagram grid is always like a white background with your dog. You've already won a lot of brownie points with me because you're an animal lover. I'm an animal lover too. My beloved Uma, and I absolutely love animals. So why don't you just kind of tell me like a little bit of your vibe, man? Like, you're an urban dweller. What the hell does that mean? What do you do?
I'm a creative agency owner. We do marketing for small, medium-sized, some national-sized businesses.
Yep.
We do things a little bit different. We're graphic designers. We do content strategy, social media.
Yep.
Born and raised in Edmonton, live downtown. So I've had the awesome opportunity to see downtown transform over the past 5-7 years to what it is now.
Yep. Super
exciting. Just to see the city grow. Big lover of the River Valley. I don't know.
What is the definition of what is the definition of marketing? I mean, marketing is if you hop on Google or any social media platform or YouTube or anything like that, it's it seems like an industry that's really saturated in terms of everybody's a marketer, everybody's a social media manager. But what does it really take to be successful at at kind of marketing and doing something that's innovative and more customer focused, especially with 2017 landscape happening?
On an individual level, I think not even a business level, I think marketing is important for all aspects. You're talking anybody who's putting anything out on social media, which is almost everybody. Someone like even my mom does 3 Facebook posts a week at minimum.
Yeah.
And especially with the social media world, that's out there, you're always marketing yourself. Whatever you're doing, you're putting information out there about what you're doing, your day-to-day life, what you're passionate about. And some people may not think about it, but what they're putting out there is what employers are looking for. And when you go in for an interview, people are scoping you out. So marketing on your personal level, very important. Marketing on a business level, very important. And the great part about that is with social media and the online world now, it's just so easy to get out there. There's so many awesome resources and tools, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, everything that Ryan Holtz is doing. Yeah.
You know what? And as a whole, do you think the social media has made our society better, or do you think it's complicated things? Like when I go around and I speak to groups and audiences and stuff, the one thing I always say is I feel like in some ways social media has made us not social, meaning,
for somebody to actually pick up the phone. And I mean, me and you are actually verbally talking right now. And that's, in 2017, I don't think that happens a lot. I mean, we send messages, we send texts, we send Snapchats, Instagrams, but I think as a whole, I'd have to say, we're kind of communicating through a screen.
You see, I don't see that as a possibly, I don't say that's a negative thing.
Yeah.
Social media brought you and I together, and now we're having a conversation on the phone, right? It's a much easier way to connect with individuals from anywhere around the world, from all aspects. If I'm looking for a mentor for my business, for anything, I could reach out to them, find them on Instagram, send them a DM, find their email, connect with them just like that.
Absolutely.
Maybe 20 years ago, we're writing letters to find out, to send across the world. Where now, the online world connects families, it connects people around the world, it connects business owners. What I really love about Instagram too is we start to see, and we talk about Edmonton, is emerging communities.
Yep.
Such as awesome Instagram accounts such as YEGers and Urban YEG and Explore Edmonton, and people get together in their hobbies, interests in the community based on social media, and they make new friends, they form new relationships, and they grow their businesses that way.
Absolutely.
So I think social media is a very important part of our everyday world and helps people stay connected. And people say the word, well, they're less social because they're not talking to each other, or they're not communicating one-on-one or having coffee with each other, or my kids are always on the phone versus going out and playing with their friends. But in reality, those things are awesome too, but they're actually connecting with other individuals through the phone. When people stopped writing letters and writing emails, when that transition happened, people are, hey, why are they not, hand-to-hand writing letters now? But this is the way of the future.
But now let's reverse it. Just to give you an example. So tomorrow I'm at a junior high in Leduc, and they brought me to do their keynote for mental health awareness. And the subject of bullying comes up because, back in the day, let's say that kids were bullied at school and whatnot. And then, once you left school, you're kind of like in your safe zone. Now with social media and phones and things like that, the bullying doesn't even stop. It actually follows the person, the child all the way to home. And I mean, literally kids are committing suicide from online bullying. So it's interesting how social media, you're right, in a positive light, it brings everybody together. But then on the negative side, maybe it also amplifies some things that we don't want it to amplify.
Absolutely, I'm with you then. And it's very, very unfortunate when I hear things like that, on the news and out and about. It's just, I think, it comes down to education, and connecting with your peers and your elders, and I think the government is doing a great part doing campaigns that I see on TV about connecting with your teachers to talk if anything of these things are happening.
Yep.
Connect with your parents and friends and who you can, and we try to prevent those kind of measures, right?
Absolutely.
So being educated about that, and if the person knows they're maybe put in a situation, hopefully they have enough to speak out and tell somebody about it, because I think that's very important.
Absolutely. I'm trying to get my talk ready for tomorrow, and it's such a huge subject, and you got 50 minutes to make it rain, which is not a lot of time, but that's on the negative side. But I want to spin back to the positivity here. So, Edmonton is definitely alive and thriving. I think the city's changed a lot. There's lots of different things happening. The Ice District. We actually have a hockey team that's actually making the playoffs. I don't know if I can justify what they're asking for the ticket prices, but I have to play that devil's advocate and say these are the same fans that have been paying overpriced for the tickets while they were losing for the last decade. I know I'm probably going to get heckled for saying something like that, but it kind of is the reality. So, what about Edmonton literally inspired you to do YEG People and showcase local talent?
So, I'm on this podcast now, and it's awesome because I'm a huge fan of listening to podcasts. And I listen to podcasts and interviews, and I always read about and listen to leaders and influencers and individuals who've made an impact on this world. There've always been an awesome insight, great learning points, takeaways that I picked up from each of these interviews that were brought to my everyday life.
Yep.
And I noticed that they're all around from the world. They could be big players from LA, New York, Toronto, Hong Kong, wherever the case is, right? But what I wanted to see is, and sometimes it may have made people feel, well, XYZ person is in New York, and because they're in the Big Apple and they have all these resources around them, they're able to do what they did just because of the connections and people they have around them or the city they're in, right?
Yeah.
But what I wanted to show is that all that is possible here in Edmonton. There's so many inspirational individuals here, and the person down the road, the entrepreneur down the road, the person making an impact in our city. And I wanted to share that story so that you or I or anybody reading could say, hey, all the possibilities of making it and fulfilling your passions and dreams is possible, even if you're from Edmonton, and so many people think Edmonton's such a small town. You can't do what you need to do here. But in reality, there's so much homegrown success. And this is if you want to stay here and make a difference and bring that difference to our city, it's absolutely possible. And reading these stories from other people who have done so, I think can bring that inspiration to you.
Yeah.
So, and part of that is we always wanted to, like me, my friends, and my partners, Carolyn and Dan, in the YEG People Project, we always wanted to put together a brand that brings the community together, creates value, and creates something that would be timeless. It's less like a news feed or a blog, like, what you see, some of the other things that you see out there, more so that if I'm looking back in 10, 15, 20, 30 years and I'm reading the story about how XYZ person went from A to B and the struggles they went through, that's all still relevant. So I think we can bring value to our readers, and each individual just creates, they have something different to tell, right? So,
well, it's interesting, I do a lot of business outside of Edmonton. I mean, probably like 70% of my business literally is outside of Edmonton.
Wish I could travel the world like you.
You know what? It's been fantastic. I do a lot of business in Toronto and Ottawa, and those are larger markets. And you're right. People always are like, oh, you're from Edmonton. And I literally get reactions from people out east, even when I come and speak at a conference, like, you're from Edmonton? And I hate to say it, but a lot of people are like, are you from Calgary? And I know. And it's just like, wow, like, why do people think like, Edmonton's marginalized in a way? And sometimes, I think from the outsider, I think people do think that. But when you go to Toronto or like you were mentioning LA, New York, big markets like this, right? People say, oh, if I go there, there's more opportunity. I kind of have to say like the grass is not greener because there's also a lot more competition there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're right. Edmonton's kind of this wide open place. I really think it's, I'm a big art fan. And I mean, we went to Italy, and, if you look at Picasso, I mean, he had just a blank canvas, and basically it was up to him to paint those masterpieces. So when I look at something like this, I feel like Edmonton's almost got a fresh canvas, and I mean, you can throw whatever paint you want at it right now. And I think that, Entrepreneur 101, man, that's opportunity, right?
I think, what's important is you can leave if you want to make a difference or you want to create something, or we don't have something in the city. Well, Toronto has XYZ or New York has this and that. Why don't you be that change and do that here so that we have that here for everybody else in town? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. So create the city that you want to live in versus just see you later. I'm going to go somewhere else. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Perception. I've always been a firm believer in perception is reality, and marketing, to me, marketing is only illuminating what that specific product or service can do to actually better somebody's life. And that really is marketing at the end of the day. We take a product or service, figure out who needs or wants it, figure out what the story is. But I mean, and you mentioned like Gary Vaynerchuk and stuff, and he says, content is king, but context is everything, because I can have the best message, but if I'm not hitting people where they actually want to be hit in terms of communication, it just kind of falls through the wayside. So what was one of the reasons why you chose to have YEG People be 100% online publication, obviously syndicated through social media, and then all the stories lay on the website? Why no print or anything like that?
No specific reason. Print may be something we may be looking at into the future. I always had thought that maybe one day when we are ready, when we have enough articles, we can create like a nice tabletop piece that would be a coffee table piece that we could always look back to. We have amazing photos from our photographers, all the individuals, but we just never got there just yet, but it could be something down the road. Other than that, online was, I think, our easiest way as a distribution point, that we're able to use the power of social media and other tools to just share and pass the articles along and put our site out there versus buying a distribution in print and so on, having people pick us up and place them at their stores or whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this, because this is always a question I like to. This is one I didn't send you, so this is real talk now. What is your opinion as far as digital versus traditional advertising goes? Meaning, do you think one is superior to the other, or do you think traditional's dead and digital's where it's at, or does it depend on the situation or the message? But what's your honest opinion on that? Digital versus traditional?
I love that question. I actually get that a lot, just because a lot of our clients will ask that and they want to know where their marketing bucks could go. I'm sure you get that as well too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In a nutshell, sometimes layering it is the best, right? You can get a little bit of radio, a little bit of TV, a little bit of billboard, a little bit of social, and you get to have customer touch points along the way, whatever it may be, from the time they wake up in the morning on their phone to when they're watching the news, to when they're driving to work, to when they're at work, and then and at the gym, and so on, whatever the case may be, right? But
absolutely.
and I like traditional. I'm a big fan of traditional as well too, and I don't know if that's going anywhere just yet. But I love social, because if you're looking at best bang for your buck, I think it's definitely there. If you know your customer, you know who they are, where they are, how old they are, if they're male or female, the tools that are, if they like eating pizza or they like shopping at Lululemon or whatever the case may be, right? Yeah. We know those metrics through tools such as Facebook, and we're able to target market them directly, and you can break up your campaign versus doing one billboard campaign on street level with the general brand awareness. You could have different campaigns to your female customer, to your male customer, to your senior customer, to a first-time shopper versus an ongoing shopper. And you can do that for a much, much, much better bang for your buck on social and online marketing versus your traditional. I think those things are a little bit overpriced right now. Radio, billboard, newspaper especially. Yep. But versus Facebook. And to be honest, it seems like everyone is on their phone. I'm driving and it's horrible, but I'm seeing somebody at the light. Everybody at the light is on their phone versus looking at the billboard.
See that? I talk about that a lot. Yeah. I say that a lot. First of all, right, I think one of the highest areas of consumption of mobile phone usage is on the toilet. And when I literally start my presentations to big crowds, my first slide is a picture of a dude that's naked. You can't see anything because his phone's covering everything, but he's literally sitting on a porcelain toilet. And I like to, ascertain the integrity of the audience. So I ask one simple question. The question is, how many of you have used your phone at least one time while you're using the toilet? And if anybody actually says,
every single person should have raised their hand.
And I've had some people that say no, and I'm like, you are a friggin' liar. You are a bona fide liar. Which brings me to the lead point about, you said you mentioned that you listened to the episode I did about feet, and it's all about the details. When somebody shakes my hand, I'm like, okay, that's cool, but your phone is disgusting, man. Like, it's a dirty, germed, full of everything, right? So I agree with you, but back to your billboard comment. When you're at a point of stop on a major intersection, that's usually where billboards are placed psychologically, because you're at a point of stop. But if everybody's got their head down on their mobile device, in my opinion, that is the billboard. And that's the billboard that we're all fighting for, right? You're talking about cost per dollar in terms of, how much does it cost to acquire a customer? I think that the one thing I definitely side with digital over traditional is that if I go and spend $10,000 a month on a billboard or radio or TV or newspaper, my account rep doesn't actually call me and say, hey, Ryan, nobody actually engaged with your billboard, so we're going to give you your money back. Whereas when I put my money online, Facebook, Google, all the pay-per-click, man. So if somebody, if you say hi to me, Eric, I will pay all day long if I know that you're saying hi to me. You know what I mean?
Yep. Metrics is a big thing. You're exactly right with that point. Again, I do like it. Brand awareness is awesome, and everyone loves seeing their brand on a billboard. Yeah. But metrics, I can see that XYZ people, in this group, click through my ad through Google AdWords or Facebook, or whatever it may be. Instagram, huge right now, right? Or versus billboard, where it's hard to tell, right? I mean, absolutely. Again, the brand awareness is good, but if you want to see the conversion points and who's actually converting, digital is where it's at.
Absolutely.
For sure. And it's cheaper.
Right? Absolutely. And you know what? Marketing, I mean, Well, no, and that's fine. And when people say, when people like use the words guru and all these things out there, it scares the hell out of me, because I think that if you're in marketing or business, the only thing constant is change. I would say that I'm an expert on learning what I don't know, and then also an expert on my self-awareness, knowing how much I don't know. And I think that, when it comes to marketing and gurus and experts, the world is changing so fast. And I mean, this. I'm sure you've never came across this, but there's no perfect marketing plan. Like, you cannot sell me and say, hey, Ryan, I got the perfect marketing plan and I can guarantee this for you. You'd be completely lying to me, right?
Definitely. Every single business is different. Every single person's vision may be different. Maybe their outcome or goals are different, right?
Absolutely.
So it's tough, but yeah. It's really, really amazing. Like, and I was just talking to my team at the office today about how things have really changed, versus 10 years ago in all aspects, right? The power of digital, and how the world has changed. Even when you're watching TV now, half your audience, if you ask them, they're probably PVRing the show, right?
Yeah.
If they're not PVRing the show during commercial break, they're probably on their phone surfing Facebook, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But look at in the world, if you look at the programs, right, a lot of major programs on major networks, I mean, the actors who are starring in them are like mandated to live tweet while the show's happening, just to try to gain and garner more eyeballs, right? And when you look at YouTube, I mean, YouTube literally has more viewership when they go live on YouTube than any major network combined. So live video. Have
you tried that YouTube Live?
Live video for YouTube, literally. So if I go and I press live. Now, even if you look at it, and I kind of talked about Donald Trump on a previous episode, because I think that marketers, regardless of what you say about Donald Trump, and I won't say anything about him, whatever, right? I mean, look at the marketing. He owned everything. I mean, you turn on your computer, you turn on the TV, it was all about him, right? But when you look at Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and you compare those metrics with any like CNN or any news network, it's not even comparable, man. It's not even comparable. And that's why I think it's important. What's your opinion of live video?
By the
way, we are doing Facebook Live right now. What's up?
Oh, are we?
Oh, we are, Eric. I didn't want to tell you that because I knew you were nervous.
No, that's awesome. Honestly, I think it's awesome. I love how all the platforms are kind of bring this live now. I think Instagram has live as well too, and Snapchat's always kind of been that particular model where it's in the moment, right?
Yep.
YouTube has live and Facebook Live. It's awesome because for the companies and individuals that have such a huge following already, let's just say Nike, they can go boom, turn on the switch, and you're live streaming to millions of people. Versus if you're looking at 15 years ago, if somebody wanted to do something like that, it would have been a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 production cost. Now, with a click of a button at $0, you reach 1 million people live through video. Absolutely. How amazing is that, right? Yeah.
That's huge, man. I mean, it's, I think, do you ever feel like there's too much? Like sometimes when I Snapchat and Instagram, I'm lazy. So I take my Snapchat and I download the story and upload to Instagram. And then sometimes there's like a special moment happening. I'm like, whoa, what platform do I catch it on? Do you ever feel like there's too much?
I think different platforms could be for different things. And, those are everyday platforms. There's probably like another 5-10 platforms that are really emerging, maybe in like teenage world or whatever they may be using these days, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes I get the question, well, should I even use Snapchat or should I even post on Facebook? Some people say, hey, Twitter's dead. We don't need Twitter anymore, right?
Yeah.
But what if it's dead until it's not dead, right? So that's, we never knew that Instagram would turn on their stories function and just like that, right? It just happened overnight where they changed that. And now we have all kinds of new types of viewership ways to reach out to our audience, right?
Absolutely.
But there is a lot, lots going on. There's so many different platforms. I think, stick with what you like. I think that's the thing and where your audience is.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. What do you see for YEG's future in terms of culture, business, and the millennial impact? And I mean, it's, have you heard of Scott Stratton on marketing?
No, I haven't.
He's you should pen yourself a note on marketing. Scott Stratton, he's fantastic.
Is it going to be in the show notes?
I will put in the. You know what? Maybe I should put in the show notes. That damn guy, I'm giving him too much free advertising though. But anyways, he basically did a keynote and he said everybody talks about millennials like they're aliens and the millennials are coming and everything's about the millennials. And he said everybody's talking about the millennials. It's not because of anything. It's just because older people just don't like them. And it's interesting his take on it because technically what a millennial's 18 to 35 years old. So what do you think? How do you think they're going to have an impact on Edmonton specifically?
Oh, it's a good question. Tough one.
It's a beauty, baby. It's a beauty.
I don't know if you can categorize millennials. Like I think the 30, everyone's different.
Sure.
There's going to be the 18 to 22 year olds who might, because what they grew up with may be different from like the 28 to 34, whatever it may be, right? Yeah. But to go back to your question in terms of what the future is of our city and culture and business, like I think it's never been more like exciting time to play in Edmonton. Everyone sees the change, everyone sees downtown. The future is definitely bright here. Yeah. And there's been a huge shift in culture from business and growth in our city. And I'm loving that myself. I'm sure everyone else is too.
Yep.
For the first time, I think downtown, and I live downtown, so it's not a ghost town like it used to be. After work hours, after farmers market closes on a Saturday, it was definitely like the tumbleweed going down the road kind of idea.
Yep.
But it's not like that anymore, and it's awesome, right? We're getting filled with new trendy coffee shops, restaurants, new attractions, hockey being downtown with Rogers. It's just every day I'm hearing about the newest and hip restaurant, the newest chef, and newest business, fitness studio, all kinds of different fitness studios, meditation studios, and cocktail bars, and everything, right?
Absolutely.
So what I'm getting to, I think, it's honestly amazing to see so many new people opening new businesses and pushing the traditional boundaries of trying new things, right? We used to always be small town mentality, new things don't work, that won't fly in Edmonton because we're just not forward thinking. I think that's gone, and I love that. And the people who are taking the risk to open up these new small businesses are going to be mostly those millennials, actually, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
So I think when it goes back to that question, how they make an impact, they're the ones who are willing to take the risk, right?
Yeah.
And that they're creating this for us. So, and I like kind of what you said. I think it was episode 9 where you're talking about being safe and stepping outside the comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
You guys out there haven't listened, go check it out. But definitely, I think, people, millennials are more willing, and people have to step out their comfort zone to fulfill their dreams and passions, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm kind of seeing that more and more on any kind of level, whether you're opening a small business at home or opening a business downtown and attracting, new customers, whether it be a restaurant or studio, whatever it may be, they're doing it. Then, they feel like the opportunity is there for growth. And
people play it safe, man. I don't get why. Like, it's an illusion of like, if you have a job and you work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you have this safety. Absolutely not. Even if you go to the bank and you're like, yo, I need some money. And they're like, yo, if you're self-employed, you're going through a whole nother process, right? But if you have that full-time job, the bank's like, no problem, you have security. But, at any given time, I mean, the company can restructure, it could downsize, or the boss could come in and say, yo, thanks so much for your time. Like, I just think about it. Could you imagine working for somebody for 30 years of your life and they come and they give you like one of those stupid watches, if they even give those watches up anymore? I mean, what the
cutbacks, no watches.
But what the fuck did you do with your life, man? Like, I mean, 30 years. Like, I'm like, so that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, and safe is, and again, safe is different for everybody, right?
Oh, it sure
is.
You
can be safe. And it could be financially safe for them, right?
Sure.
Let's say they're making multiple 6 figures or whatever they may be, working at XYZ company, right?
Sure.
And for 30 years, is that safe? But is it still safe if they're miserable? They hate their job.
Yeah.
They hate going to work. They come home, they're grumpy. They're grumpy to their family. They're stressed out to shit.
Yeah.
They're taking years off their life because they're super stressed and hate their job. They complain about it to everybody.
Yep.
Is that worth it? Is that safe? Is your financial security?
Eric, I'm going to go one step. I'm going to go one step forward on you, though. I'm going to go one step forward. We recently had our first child, my son Dejan. I am telling you, man, if you want to know about the impacts positively about entrepreneurship, being a father and a parent and literally getting to see every single moment from like birth to like now, there is no money that could ever match that feeling. And, you know, being a parent and being an entrepreneur and having that flexibility, that's worth like double six figures in itself. And I think even for me, that's something I would have never even been able to ascertain or even understand until I went through it. But I tell people all the time, because I mean, I have lots of friends and stuff like that. And, you know, people that work full time, especially if it's kind of like your traditional household where maybe mom stays at home and stuff like that. And then dad goes out to work. A lot of the kids, sometimes they don't even develop a relationship with their own father until kind of later on in life. And, you know, talking to guys and stuff about it, it's crazy because, you know, I had one friend, he's like, yo, I come home and I feel like almost my baby doesn't even know who I am. That's crazy. I mean, what do you think of that?
I think, you know, I was there. My parents actually worked abroad when I was young, growing up here.
Yep.
My grandparents raised me, which I'm super fortunate.
Yep.
But they had to. That's just how things were, you know, 30 years ago, right? Things are a little bit different now. I think the opportunity, when we talk about the digital world and the opportunities that are, I can open up business tomorrow, just like that on Instagram or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
Things are different now. And the opportunities for you to be more flexible with your time is definitely there,
Absolutely.
right? And I think when you look back and we're talking about the subject about safe and all that and work-life balance, I think if you just speak to anybody as they get older or on their deathbed, I think they'll never tell you, I regret not working harder, spending more time in the office and making more money. The things they might regret is, you know, I missed out on my whole my whole son's childhood from, you know, whatever it may be, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's huge, eh? And you kind of understand that from Sheldon Klassen on Facebook just said, most dads never get that. I feel that I never saw my dad. He worked retail 60 plus hours a week. Sheldon, thanks for the comment. We've had lots of comments here, but I just don't want to cut you off. But I mean, that
no worries.
That to me is a huge, just a huge thing. And it's something that, you know, I think even my upbringing too. I mean, my mom was a single mom, and you know, I found that, you know, the time you get to spend with your family, man, it's huge. And you're right. I mean, you pay the cost to be the boss. So, you know, not everybody's willing to hop on a plane 70 times a year and do all these things, but to have that flexibility with your schedule, I think trumps everything, you know? So, monetarily, sure, there's good benefits there, but, man, just being able to do what you want in life, priceless, brother, priceless.
Yeah. I think it's exactly what you're saying though, whether it be your own boss, if working for somebody 9 to 5 and then shutting off and not have any worries after that until next day at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
If that's what your goal is in life and that's what you want, you know, and you want to be able to, no matter what happens, you'll be free after 5 and you can make all those practices and you can do all those things, right? You'll never get caught up in a meeting across the country because that's, you know, that's just not part of your schedule. That's what you want. That's amazing. That's awesome, right? You know, go for that, right?
Yep.
So I think everybody's different. So the definition of safe is going to be different for everybody. You know?
Absolutely. So you being a business owner, I mean, you know, when you leave work, do you ever leave work? Do you shut down your phone? Do you put your phone aside? I mean, how do you balance
24/7 hustle?
24/7
hustle.
Yeah,
just like you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, you know, and I mean, I've really tried to, you know, sometimes I literally put my phone aside and I literally have to put it on silent, you know, and just like, and face down. I can't, because if I see the glow, you know, the glow that happens, you're just like, oh man, the phone's going. I did cave to the Apple Watch, you know, so
I have one too.
I know. So I'm like, okay, I gotta put that on silent. I can't even have that on vibrate because now I'm vibrating, right? But you know, I think it's really huge. So it's a great segue into my next question. What are 3 tips you would give somebody if they were to start their own business today, given the current online, social media, and digital revolution we are in the middle of? What 3 tips, like just straight up, they could go and use if they had zero money, but they had some work ethic and an idea they wanted to pursue?
Oh, I don't know if I can break it down. It's just 3 tips, but
give as many, whatever you got to break it down, just break it down.
You mentioned they got work ethic. I think that's absolutely number 1.
Yep.
One, hard work will always pay off. You know, you put in the time, you'll reap the benefits, no matter what that may be. But when I break down 3 tips, I think number 1, 2, and 3 main tips is get started today and just do it.
Yep.
Just like Nike, but just get started.
Well, it's
just
kind
get
of
started.
it's kind of like that quote, though. Do not let perfection hinder you, but intent is king, right? Meaning, everybody said they were going to write the book or the thing that they wanted to do, and they just wanted to get it shiny and perfect. And I mean, you just got to execute, right?
Yeah, here's a quote it goes back to when you mentioned quotes
Sure.
that I really like. It's I think if you want to get to where you haven't gotten in life, you have to do what you've never done. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's Steve Weatherford. I believe that's where I heard it from. Not sure if it's his or not.
Yeah.
But absolutely, if you want to be somewhere else in life and get to a different place, you have to do something different. If you're on a treadmill, you're running, you're not going anywhere, right?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
So back to getting started today, I think again,
don't confuse movement with progress, right?
Yes.
And sorry to interject here. I find that people are networking, right? Like people go to all these networking events. I did an episode on this, and I'm very vicious when it comes to networking groups and networking events. And and I'm going to say a statement, it's kind of harsh, but sometimes I feel like a lot of networking groups are full of people who just can't execute and do shit. So they just want to meet other people who can't execute and do shit. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you really look at successful people or people who are hustling, you don't see a lot of them at quote unquote networking events per se. I know there's some great ones out there. I'm not saying this is all networking events, but what I've had, like a lot of people ask me for advice and questions all the time, and they're kind of like serial networkers. And then I'm like, okay, I kind of ask them some simple questions, and I'm like, well, you went to a networking event, like, like for instance, if I go to a conference, my rule of thumb is I don't care what I learn, but I have to literally take, like, even if I get 3 points from that conference, I go back and the first thing I do is I execute on 90% of what I thought was good before I do anything. That's just my ultimate rule. I will take it back and I will literally start executing on it like ASAP. So what do you think about networking versus not working? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. See, I know you're saying networking. I don't think networking is a bad thing. Networking is connecting with people, whether it be similar interest groups or not interest groups. It's still connecting, and it could be individuals who just need that method to get out there. I've heard a lot of success for people who either they're in networking groups just to break out of their shell. Yep. So they learn how to speak and learn how to meet new people and make new friends. I've heard other ones who join network groups who have tremendous success in business just because of the groups they're in. They've got all or 90% of their clients from the networking groups, and those groups have referred them to more and more clients. So in some cases it works for them. In some cases it works for them on a personal level. But networking is like, we go back to social. Everybody should be networking on social.
Absolutely.
If there's somebody I want to connect with, boom, they get a DM like, hey man, how's it going? I love what you're doing. I want to connect with you and work with you, whatever the case may be, right? So networking, again, that's power. The social that they give us these days is we're able to network with anyone around the world through anything. I could search LinkedIn and find somebody. If I'm looking for the CEO of XYZ large corp in Europe, boom, there they are. Send them a message, right? So networking could be anything, right?
The one thing I like about social, right? And again, I'm all about Instagram Direct is something that I think is huge. It's I do a lot of brand ambassadorship. So, basically companies will send me stuff and I'll talk about it. They'll give it to me for free, influencer style programs, right? But when it comes to Instagram and things like that, one thing I've really tried to do in the last year is, it's one thing liking somebody's photo and then commenting and stuff like that, but I'll pick literally random people every month or 2 months and say, let's go for lunch. And even if I don't know them, I've never met them or anything like that, and I'm like, let's just go for lunch. And I have met everybody from police officers to, priests to, it's been insane. And what I find is that, as soon as you meet that person in real life, IRL, and then you hop back on the phone, that relationship that you have with that, it's like, it really solidifies something. I really try to do that, meet them online, get them offline if I think we can vibe, and I think it's something that is.
When are we going for lunch? Where's my invite?
No doubt.
No, I love that too. Again, connecting with people on all levels, but people say, well, we're not social, we're not having lunch together, meeting. But it's because of social that you were able to connect with that person, right?
Yep. I mean, social media is the ultimate icebreaker. I mean, let's face it, right? I mean, you can literally approach people that maybe, depending on, maybe you're shy, maybe you're introverted, extroverted, whatever it is. I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, it's something that is, it just breaks the ice and it allows you to have fun. Somebody's just saying my heart is too big. I guess I'm giving free lunches, so my heart's too big. Thanks, Jay, man. I appreciate the Facebook Live, brother. But, again, right, I think what going back to your tips and stuff like that, is there anything you want to add to that in terms of somebody starting a business and executing? I
definitely say get started today, like I mentioned. I think this is the single best time in the world if you want to start your own business, just because, again, the resources that are out there, there's so much abundance of resources that you can access by just pulling out your phone and hit search. If you want to research anything, you want to learn how to build an online store, you want to sell, whatever that may be, right? You can get into it by just Googling, right? There's podcasts out there for any kind of industry, for anything you want to learn how to do, free online classes.
Absolutely.
The Ryan Holtz podcast. There's all kinds of blogs out there. And then there's people that are out there, just like you said, we were able to connect. I bet you if you reach out to 20, 30, 40, 100 people, and if you were serious about it, you'll reach out to thousands of people and you're like, hey, I want to sit down for coffee. I love what you're doing. I'm looking for a mentor. I want to learn, right?
Absolutely.
Hundreds, you can reach out to hundreds. If you want it, it's out there. If you want it, get it, right?
Absolutely. I got a shout out to Jovar Gentles on Facebook Live here. He's kind of a younger dude, but he's doing some cool things. But he's messaged me, asking me for all kinds of advice and things like that. But this is, you talk about mentorship. He's somebody that, man, he wants to hustle and he wants to go. And you see all these people, and I mean, it's so hard, when somebody asks you like, what do I need to do to get to the next level or push business or do that? Because like I understand, I feel everybody's pain. And this, man, it's not easy. Like there's some days I think I've literally cried, man. I've cried. I've literally just been like, what the hell happened? And because it's your business, I think you're emotionally involved and attached to your business. You know what I'm saying?
24/7.
24/7.
Yeah.
So if somebody says you suck, I'm sorry. I mean, I could say I'm a human and be like, no, that doesn't affect me. Man, that affects me, right? I'm like, you said
you take it personally.
You wrote a bad review? Damn, like, and you're just like, whoa, you're so, it is your child, right? My business is my first child. Dejan's my human child, and I love him. And, he's gonna, we'll see what he grows up to be. But I mean, whatever it is, it's gonna be cool. But, I agree with what you're saying in terms of the tips. Now you
just have to go and do it.
Absolutely. It's just to execute. Yep. Now you've had a bird's eye view of interviewing some cool people from the Glow Juicery to Teresa Spinelli, Italian Center. I mean, man, what a business. You've kind of interviewed people from all walks of life, all different industries. So, I mean, having kind of that, one-to-one, what's a few things that you just walked away and saying, wow, I never ever would have even thought of that, or something that maybe just kind of lit your fire, or anything that inspired you, or things that you even just one common thing you found that everybody kind of told you, like, in terms of work ethic or something specific, like what have you learned, man?
They push number one thing, and it goes back to that safe that you talked about. They pushed past their boundaries.
Yeah.
They felt like it was their passion. Something made them just do it, and then they did it, right? And I get you never know unless you try. Definitely works.
But what do you think with all them?
They have the courage, all right?
Okay, you're right. But you said a good point there. They all had an idea, and then they executed on the business, and they executed. But what made them different from saying I had the idea to turning on the switch to say I'm going to go and execute on the idea? Like, what common denominator did you see in everybody that they had that ability to actually execute?
Oh,
it's a great question.
It's a good question. I don't know. I think every individual is different, and it's not always business that they were executing on. Some of them may be on their passion, and some of them may be community work or whatever they may be, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to like your previous question a little bit. I think they have to understand what they want, and they have to understand their passion and their dreams, and they want to take the journey, right? It's not always about that end goal. It's about the journey and I think you can relate to that, right? The journey about how you went from zero to where you're at right now.
Yeah.
and they're willing to take that risk to enjoy the journey, whatever that may be, because they're able to build relationships along the way, take learning lessons along the way. They're going to fall along the way, but they're going to meet people and they're going to get help from others that will help them get to where they're going, as long as they keep following their passion. You know, it could take 1 year, it could take 2 years. I've seen the people take 30 years to get where they're at, right? But they never lost sight of what they love doing, right? And then that kept their drive going.
Absolutely.
In some other aspects, I think, from what the common denominator I see is that people just push forward and they didn't give a shit about whatever people said about them or whatever the case may be, where it's possible or not possible. They decided to take the risk, plunge in, go all in, and see how it goes, right?
You know what common denominator I've noticed between everybody who owns a business and really pushes and gets up and, you know, just is on fire? They all have one thing in common. They don't care about the micro. They're so focused on the macro. They're so
Absolutely.
focused. They're so focused on the long term, meaning you had 10 meetings, you get up and you got a flat tire. And I know it sounds funny, but that's enough to shake you. Because, I mean, wow, you got a flat tire. Like, that changes your whole day. But that's something that's an example of just like, you know, I call it like the hair in the back of your neck. You know, when you get upset about something or something bugs you, or you just kind of got this little itch in the back and you're like, oh, I feel this, you know, and it just takes you off your game, you know, and you're like, don't do that. You're getting in the way.
I think too many people focus on the short term, just like you said, right? And they're looking for, how come I'm not making big bucks or making this difference right now, right then? Unfortunately, the social media world and the online world makes everybody wants everything instantly now, right? That's just how it is. But
and that's
they got to focus on the long term, the long game, the long-term game.
That's
right?
the thing.
That's what they got to be working on.
But I kind of think a lot of younger people and millennials and maybe people in general, they want everything overnight, and it's the quick fix. Now, and you got to admit this in marketing. Now, I'm saturated in the automotive community, so I got lots of clients there and whatnot. I understand. We study what the customer does. Now, here's what's happened in the automotive community, okay? Dealerships notoriously have been marketing for one-night stands. Now, customers are coming back saying, we don't want the one-night stand. We want the marriage. So dealerships market based on the short term and let's get it done and what can we do to increase tomorrow, and they don't care what the cost is long term. The customer's saying, if you screw me on the price of the car, not only am I going to tell everybody on my Facebook, not only am I going to figure it out, but I'm going to cause you living grief after the sale's been made. So that level of transparency, it changes everything. What do you think?
I changed the game. One, I think everyone goes out there and has an opinion, no matter good or bad. And unfortunately, we hear more of those negative reviews versus the 10,000 positive reviews. You know, I had a customer call me yesterday, like, this person was insane and had this major problem. It was all in their end. And then they just left me a negative review. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You know, and unfortunately, the 20,000 people who were super happy didn't leave the review. Right. Absolutely. But I'm with you on the long term. And when we talk about the marriage of the relationship versus just a one night stand, it even happens before you get to the one night stand. I think the customer should be nurtured along the way, all the way through to the point where they become the customer. They get in the door, they're taking the test drive, you make the sale, you know. And I think unfortunately some of the salespeople might not know that, right? They should be taking care of the customer all the way through. And that customer is going to tell their friend, post it on Facebook about the good experience, share the picture with them, a selfie with the person, with the car and them, saying, this is my awesome new BMW with XYZ Steve. He helped me here, right? Those things happen. Absolutely. Right? So I think, and then that relationship should continue to grow ongoing, not even to talk about cars or make the sale, right? If you're going to be building that relationship along the way, you're going to be, have value around that, right? And in the long term, you are going to win, right? Absolutely. And some people just want that sale in, out, see you later, never call that customer ever again, right? And I think the most important part is just staying in touch with them on a personal level, right? If you know that Steve, who bought that car, loves hockey, right? And he just referred you 5 customers or whatever the case be, send him a ticket to that Oilers playoffs game, right? There you go, man. You got to pick up on the details. And I think you talked about details all the way through. And I think people, unfortunately, are not doing that sometimes. And even if they don't tell you, go on their Instagram, on their Facebook, find out what they're doing. The guy likes eating pizza. You see him posting pictures of pizza all day long.
Oh.
Send him pizza, right? It's just that easy. That's the power of social. You can find out about your customer. But people are not doing that yet.
So dealerships notoriously spend stupid amounts of crappy money on, customer touch programs, and we call them customer loyalty programs, and I call them customer harassment fondle programs, because you're touching the customer, you're sending them stupid letters, you're sending them this and that. Like, for instance, right, one of my prime examples, and I don't understand why this doesn't happen. You go in, you buy a car, and 1 year later, you get that service reminder saying, "Okay, Eric, it's time for you to bring in your car for service." Well, you were sold on the promise of the car that you were buying an amazing car. Now their first contact with you is that your car is a piece of shit and needs to come in for service. Whereas they could have just said, "Hey, Eric, according to our records, happy birthday on your vehicle. Here's a $10 gift card to Starbucks. Go enjoy some coffee." And I know you would look at your phone and be like, "Yo, my dealership just gave me a $10 Starbucks and said, have coffee on me. Happy birthday to my ride." I mean, it's remarkable, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't cost much money.
I'll tell you a true story about, maybe we're off topic a little bit. We're talking about automotive,
No,
right?
man, it's all good.
I brought my car in for service.
Yeah.
I can't remember what service it is. They were supposed to change the air filter of the cabin, right? Like they always do. Sometimes I feel like they don't need to, right? But they're going to upsell you that anyway. Yeah. Service lady came back and said, "Hey, your air filter for the cabin is long overdue this past couple times," or whatever the case is, "but it's actually still very clean. So we're not going to replace it for you. We're going to save you money." They also brought me over to the nice area, help yourself to coffee, also gave me a travel mug to go, said, "Hey, this is a travel mug. It's on the house. It's for you. Just hold on to this. Your car will be ready. Also, I actually washed your car and also cleaned the mats inside your car, and no extra costs for you."
Oh, that's beautiful.
I've told 50 people about service at this dealership.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Just because, right? Just because of those little personal notes that they've done for me, right? They said they could have charged me like everyone always does. I said, "You know what? In reality, it's not dirty. Not there yet. We're going to save you the money this time." And not, I've never seen that before.
Absolutely, man.
And people are generally scared of dealerships. They're scared that people will take them for whatever the case may be, right?
It's all now about the details.
I trust them now forever.
Oh,
right?
It's all about the details. It really is. And you know what? It's not off topic. I mean, this all kind of bleeds into one. But I mean, you know what? We've been having a good chat here. I think. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, in terms of the future of YEG people, anything specifically, or anything you just want to tell the audience at this point?
I think I just want to circle back to that starting a business question, right? I think going back to passion, what you love doing, whatever that may be, right? I think if you build a business around your passion, you'll never really be working, right?
Yeah,
and I think you and I can.
If you love what you do, you'll never work a damn day in your life. You're very right about that.
Yeah. Sounds funny, but hey, if you love what you're doing, it's not like you're doing that 9 to 5 and going home and hating it, right?
But let me ask you this, though. A lot of people struggle with finding what their button is, finding out what their passion is, or finding out what they want to wrap a business around. I mean, I think it comes down to self-awareness. Some people say, well, all I want to do is make money. And then I think that's a short term, because eventually you can make all the money in the world. And then you're just going to be like, I'm just not passionate about what I'm doing anymore. And if you're a true entrepreneur, in my opinion, you're all about the journey and you're all about the hustle. You like the innovation. Mm-hmm. You like I like getting beat up.
You like the challenge.
I do. Yeah. I'm nitty gritty, man. I used to play football. I mean, I'm so comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. Like when I go speak, every time I still get nervous. Tomorrow I got to go speak to 550 14-year-olds. they're going to be like, yo, this guy, and I'm an ancient dinosaur. I remember when I was 14, it was crazy, right? But, I'm so comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that if people go too long in their life and they've never felt uncomfortable, I don't think you're growing. I think you're complacent. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think you have to try new things.
Absolutely.
Right? You call me, hey, would you like to be on this podcast? I love podcasts. I'm nervous. I've never been on a podcast before, right? Yeah. I'm not the person that goes and speaks in front of crowds like you. But I was, you know what? One of my things on my list every single day is try new things, be uncomfortable, right? Push outside the boundaries. So I'm going to say yes. I said, yes, let's do this, right? So
Eric, I think this is great, man. You got episode 10 here, and you got your first ever interview on our podcast. This is a special podcast. I hope you'll share it out once I have it uploaded and everything like that. I'd appreciate it. Is YEG people? You think YEG people would do a podcast down the road? I could see that being a really good medium, to be honest.
I'm interested. I'm interested in. I think that's something that could be on the horizon here.
I like that. Well, if you need any tips on starting it, you know where to you know who to take out for lunch, right?
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks so much for what you're doing. Keep up the good work. I think your audience, your fans, get so much amazing points from what you're putting out there to the world, and have great takeaways. So keep up the good work, and I want to see episode 100, 150, 1,000, right?
You know what, Eric? I mean, and this is the reality is that, a lot of people, like, it's weird. I don't even do an email list. I don't do any of that. And, I meet so many people, through speaking and then clients and yada, yada, yada. But, a lot of people are like, well, Ryan, you don't even do any online workshops. I do a lot of workshops through the provincial associations and stuff, but they're not open to the public. And, a lot of people are like, you don't even do any masterminds or anything like that. And it's, it's weird. I think there's a level of, I think once I don't want to go down that road because I think I'd be like every other person out there. And even with my own social media, which you're on it, I don't really plug a lot of, call Ryan for this or call, Ryan for that, or here's the services. I think I'm so focused on inbound, meaning I think that, if I can build a good relationship with a good community, people will reach out to me. And, my business, I'm proud to say that I'm never cold called. I've never knocked on one door. Every single client I have is a client that was referred or found me via online. And I'm very, very proud to say that. So I appreciate the good words, and it's good coming for you. I mean, you're a 100% YEG hustler.
Yeah. I love what you're putting out. Like, you're not putting out those like, hey, call this and that. You're showing the authentic self, your family photos. You're having fun.
Yep.
That's what people want to see. Your true authentic self.
Absolutely,
there's so many Instagram accounts that are pictures of whatever, maybe cars, watches, this, that, whatever, right? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I want to see the real people behind that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing. So keep it up.
Thanks so much, man. Anyways, stay on the line, Eric. Anyways, it has been episode 10 of the Ryan Holtz Show. If you've gotten any value from the show, please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Please rate it on Google Play or iTunes. You can connect with me at Ryan Holtz1 on Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, whatever. And Eric, please tell everybody how they can reach out to you and what the best way is.
You can reach me on Instagram or email, eric@eccinc.ca. Love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
And Eric, we got to do the customary 3, 2, 1, boom. So you ready for this? 3, 2, 1, boom!
Boom.
You did so good on the podcast, Eric. Thanks so much for coming on. And I will shoot you a message when it's up and running. All right, man?
Okay. Thank you.
Take care, Eric. Ciao.
Take care.